Hi everyone, my name is James Rosile. This is Digital Charcuterie. If you enjoyed Avengers Infinity War and are looking forward to Avengers 4, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and all that other fun stuff coming up, give us a subscribe because we will be covering it right here on this channel. Until then, I had a chance to finally see Avengers Infinity War Friday night. It took me a little while, but I got to see it Friday night, and this is a spoiler-heavy review, so if you haven't seen it by now, do not watch this or pause it and come back to it later because I'll be going spoiler. Maybe heavy, maybe not. I don't want to spend too much time on the review. I just want to say whether or not I liked it and what I liked about it, and maybe some thoughts in the future. But we're going to have more videos coming up. I'm going to have Andrew Fantasia on here to talk about the ending a little bit. Joshua Lucas from the Den of Nerds coming on here to talk about it a little bit. So we're going to be covering it a lot right here. Just talking about it, spitballing. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of it, what you liked, what you didn't like. Let's go on. Let's go on. So right off the bat, this movie starts. Unbelievable. And so first thing I want to say is I wasn't a huge fan of the first Avengers, and I kind of moderately enjoyed the second, Age of Ultron, but I've loved most of the movies. It's had some stumbling blocks. I thought Iron Man 2 was a bit of a stumbling block. I thought Iron Man 3 was a bit of a stumbling block. I wasn't too crazy about Thor, but they've all had it. And this one it was cool how it starts off like, okay, this is a continuation from Thor Ragnarok. And it goes on from there, and it's very exciting. I'll say, there was rumors. The word was out that the first 30 minutes were amazing. It was fast paced, and you got to see a lot. And a lot happens all at once. Not all at once. A lot happens, but it takes its time. I'll give it credit. It's 2.5 hours, and it feels like 2.5 hours because it's 2.5 hours. But it also is. It paces very, very well. It paces itself very, very well. So it starts off with Thor and Loki and Thanos and all that, and from there you move on, and then you move on, and it kind of shows you where everybody is without forcing it whatsoever. I think the first time I was like taking out a little bit of this movie was probably after that first half hour when we first see Vision and Scarlet Witch. It kind of felt like a real movie for a second, not like just like a spectacle. It was like, oh, there's a story here. There are things happening with characters, and that kind of took me out. But that scene, to its credit, is also very, very important and valuable to the overall story because it's explaining, hey, this thing in his head is calling to him. There's something happening about this. And that's what it is. So the story is about Thanos trying to get these 6 Infinity Stones, and he already has a couple of them. And the spaceship comes down to New York, and Iron Man is called by Banner, he gets thrown there basically in a last ditch effort. Banner gets thrown back to Earth, and he's like, Thanos is coming. And so he gets thrown into Doctor Strange, and Wong is my favorite character. It was just a lot of fun. So much. I'm just like still reeling from what I saw because it was exciting. It was one of the first MCU movies I've seen in a while, probably since Guardians, where I had this feeling of I want to see that again. Like not like in a year or in 6 months. Like I will go back and watch that again. Like no question. It was fun. The tone. It all has this tone. And then it cuts to space with this giant title image that says space, and then there's a song, and I'm like, oh, it's Guardians, because the soundtrack changes, and it's just like, oh, you're writing it, and then they meet up with Thor, and then one of the funniest scenes I've seen with Guardians and Thor combined is right there. And going on, I'll say I got to go into this. I have to say that I thought there were some characters that are not in this movie that I was questioning why they weren't in it. Most of them are from Black Panther, because most of the cast of Black Panther's in it, except for 2 heavy hitters in that movie, and so that threw me off. Going into it, I was expecting Loki to die. I was expecting Gamora to die. I was expecting Stark to die. And I didn't really know what to make of anybody else, and 2 out of the 3 actually die. So it's a lot. Look, Loki is right off the bat, and he had to die. He has to set the stakes. He has to say, Thanos has to come out there and be like, I'm a threat. And if anybody's ever watched any movies going back to the 80s, the bad guy always has to kill one of his own. That's how you know the bad guy's a bad guy. The bad guy kills one of his own. Loki isn't necessarily one of his own. I thought, like, so Loki's death has to happen, though, so that the audience, so that we watch it, we're like, okay, there are stakes in this movie. My problem with his death was the way they went about it, in a lot of ways, to me, was just, you could see it coming, but then he decides that he's going to try to kill Thanos himself, which seemed like a really dumb I think, like, his plan leading up to his death about going to Earth and being a guide, I think would have been a way better way to go than bring up a knife and try to stab him. And obviously it doesn't work, and he dies, and Thor's stuck there watching his death. Gamora was that moment was probably one of the best moments in the MCU. Definitely. I thought it was going to happen. I didn't want it to happen. It makes me curious about Guardians 3, but the execution was on point. It really brought a lot of humanity to Thanos. It made just like, because Thanos doesn't care about anything except for one, and she never saw that, and you really got that in this, and I really, really, really enjoyed that. And of course, in that scene, Red Skull comes back. It is not Hugo Weaving, but it's somebody else, and I don't think it really matters. It was fine. It was cool to see him come back, and he's stuck there, which was really nice as well. No Ant-Man, no Hawkeye. They don't appear at all, but you don't really miss them. They really, honestly, the way they took the characters and placed them all over, and they did it very well. Everyone got screen time. Everybody felt like they were a part of it. Nobody felt like they were just there to be there. Like, everybody had something to do, which was phenomenal. And kudos to the Russo brothers for that, because that is not an easy task at all. Because, there are team ups, and these people with these people, these people with these people, but you all, like, everyone has something to do. At one point, I was like, I don't think Don Cheadle's going to have anything to do, and he did. He was. This was one of my favorite representations of War Machine I've seen today. I really, really enjoyed him in this. Ross is there, Thunderbolt Ross. He has his thing in a great moment, and that makes you remember back to Civil War. If for some reason you don't remember it, you're like, oh yeah, that stuff, which is really cool. Banner has a lot to do. Doctor Strange, Wong gets his moment. Like, everyone that shows up in this movie serves a purpose, and that is what is so good. Spider-Man was in it way more than I thought, and I love that because I love Spider-Man, and he was the Iron Spider. Stark, he gets stabbed and is going to die, and then Doctor Strange makes Thanos spare his life. And so let's go right into the ending now. Half Thanos snaps his fingers, half the universe dies, and you see them all kind of dissolve into nothing. And I'm very curious, and we're going to be talking about this on the channel. I'm very curious. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below as well. Why the characters that were spared, and why the ones that died were died. And I don't mean that in the movie, but I mean that as a storytelling perspective, because there has to be a reason the characters that survive are going to live on into Avengers 4, obviously, and play a big part in bringing those other ones back. And we did the video with Josh a little while ago. We know that Nebula is the one that ends up putting the gauntlet on and kind of reverses all of that. Is that how it's going to play out? Because Nebula is now with Stark. They're the only two survivors over there. And we have, I think, Black Widow, Cap, Banner. There's a few others. So it's curious to see why they chose the ones they chose to survive. And I'm excited. Look, Hawkeye's going to make an appearance, obviously, because I think he's going to be alive, and Ant-Man's obviously going to be around. And they're going to play a big factor in what's coming up and how to reverse it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think Ant-Man's going to get a lot of play, to be honest. I think Ant-Man's going to get a lot of play because I think he can sneak up on Thanos for real. So I can't wait to see that. But we're going to dive into Avengers 4, what it might be called, why these characters were alive. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, let me know what you guys think of the movie. I'm going to give this movie a B+. A B+ or an A. It's really good. It's really good. It's long, but it's really good. It's just fun. There was a part in the movie where I felt like it reminded me like of an old school, like, oh yeah, this is what I used to get excited about when I went to go see the movies. This is like, there was something about it that was just like, this is a spectacle. This is a blockbuster. You know, I didn't get that with I said this on the Denim Nerds channel months and months ago. I didn't get that with Justice League, and I actually enjoyed Justice League, but when I watched Justice League, it was like, it should have felt like this is the most exciting thing ever. All these heroes are together, Batman and Superman together, Wonder Woman's, Flash, like this should be a thing. And instead it just kind of felt like whatever. This felt like that. This has that epic feel. You know something's up. You know it's going to be a good time, and you have a good time, and you leave the theater and you go, wow, and it's 2.5 hours. And I was tired, and I was like, this is a long movie. But I was like, I want more. I will go see it again. And when's the next one? That's how I felt. So I'm going to give B plus A, somewhere around there. B plus plus. Let's do that. B plus plus. That's what I'll do it. I don't want to be too generous with the A, but it is very good. I did very, very much enjoy it. The acting, is really good. Everything about this was good. It was directed well. The casting was well. There's a bazillion characters, and this is one of those examples when everyone's like, well, there's too many characters in the movie. Is there? Let's watch this. Let's watch The Dark Knight. Let's watch 2 of the best superhero movies ever made. And let's talk about too many characters in a movie. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, let me know what you thought of this movie in the comments below. We'll be doing more videos on this channel talking about Avengers Infinity War as time goes on. And until next time, ciao for now.